Hey everyone, welcome to this video on how to measure shifting data at far distances. So a lot of you guys have been really good about recently about flagging bad data as soon as you see it in a task. However, this video will show you how to measure for bad data, because it's one thing to see bad data in a task. It's another thing to double check and make sure that the bad data is actually workable versus unworkable in the task, especially in regards to shifting data. With shifting data, you always want to make sure that it's not shifting more than 0.5. If it's shifting more than 0.5, then it's bad data, and if it's shifting less than 0.5, then it's workable data, right? Even though if there is shifting, we have to make this clear and be especially careful when we flag bad data. So let's go ahead and take a look at this task, right? Right off the bat, we notice that there's a lot of bouncing around because the car is turning and the road is kind of bumpy. So if I were a tasker and I would just like, hey, I see the bumps here, the car's moving, bumping up and down, the car's turning, I'm gonna flag it as bad data. I'm done, right? This is actually where you're wrong. You want to be especially careful because you want to measure to see if there's shifting data and how much shifting data there is. So if I were to pick this object here, remember to always pick an object with a clear hard edge, right? And then what we saw in the world view scene, 3D scene here, is that it's a vertical shift. You want to be very careful when you're choosing your objects to choose an object that's more a better fit for the type of shifting data you're seeing. So for example, if you're seeing a horizontal shift, you don't want to pick an object that has a lot of horizontal data, right, and look at it in a horizontal view. Because now if the data is shifting back and forth like this, I'm not really going to be able to tell. So you want to make sure that you have the correct view and also the correct edge. So because the data is shifting up and down, we're okay to use this one because it has a clear top edge and a clear, like a couple of other clear edges that we can use to help us measure. So look at that. When we measure through here, even though the entire scene is bouncing up and down, there's no shifting data. There's not that much shifting data here with this object. And then some of you would be like, "Oh, okay. So I measured an object. I didn't see shift over 0.5. This task has workable shifting data." Again, this is where you're wrong. You want to be especially careful because it's very easy to make this mistake. Because you're picking only objects that are near the SDC. Remember, when shifting data happens, the closer the shift is to the SDC, the less severe it will be. And the further away the object is from the SDC, the worse the shifting data will be. So if you paid attention in science class, you know about waves, you know about water, you know about ripples. The further away it is from the center of the impact of the ripple, when you drop drop a rock into the pond, the ripples, are very close to where you drop the rock, and then as the ripples go further out, they become larger and further apart from each other. LiDAR points are the same. It shoots out, the light beams shoot out. When it's near the SDC, the light beams are closer together, but as the light beams go further away to the objects that are farther away, they become more spread out. And when the LiDAR points become more spread out, they tend to become more exaggerated when they're shifting data. So an example of this is we'll pick another object. This time, this object is about 100 meters away. So let's go ahead and look at this object. Look at that. There's way more shifting here. But can we say there is more than 0.5 shifting data here? If we go ahead and measure this object, right? Let's pick a hard edge. We'll go say frame 1. This is our hard edge. Then we'll go and look for a frame where it shifts outside of our hard edge. Right? We try and find the clearest frame where the object has shifted the furthest away. So it would probably be this frame. So look at that. That's only about 23 centimeters, and then over here it's only about 16 centimeters. We never get more than 0.5. So let's pick something even further out, right? Because there's still a lot of LiDAR points out here in the distance that we haven't checked. So let's pick something out here. So let's go ahead and look at this object. Well, you look at that. Look at all this shift. This object is 193 meters away. However, we're seeing this shift. This looks like it's over a meter of shifting data. If we go and we measure it here, let's go to frame 1. Move it up to the hard edge. For frame 2, looks like there's some pretty good edge here. Then we'll go to frame 34, and then we'll go ahead and measure the difference between the hard edge we did before and then the hard edge where it moved to now. Look at that. That's 1 meters difference. We look up here. That's also about a meter's difference here. So, again, when you're annotating objects, make sure to remember these 3 things: that you check multiple objects, 1, to validate, and then 2, that you pick an object with clear LiDAR points, and then pick clear LiDAR points and a good view, so that you can make sure you're getting your facts straight. And then number 3, you want to pick an object that's far enough away, right? So if we recap really quickly here, we picked this object that was near the SDC. We saw around 18 centimeters of shift. We picked an object that was further away, about 100 meters. We saw 28 meters of shift, or 20 meters of shift. Sorry, 20 centimeters of shift. And then we picked an object that was way out here at 190, and we saw something that was about 1 meters of shift. So please keep this in mind, and hopefully this video has been useful to you. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us on Discord or through your team leads and the QMs.